la voz de LA. It's like una galaxiana, come and kick it with us. I bring the bossa nova beats and talk the club that we love. Another year to adjust, and well, Coons we all trust. 6 titles in the cabin, tell the haters shut up. Mirar al horizonte con el cielo morado. Llegamos al estadio como siempre lo hago. Es la nueva temporada, ya cumplí 30 años. Rezándole a San Pequi que no dé al travesaño. Que repartan los balones y no sean tacaños. Que regrese el contraataque y que le hagamos daño. Un saludo para Robert, hermanos ecuatorianos. Que la táctica de Ananda nunca sean en vano. Si se trata de mi gala me levanto temprano. Ver el fur en verano, en el pasto tumbado. Siempre estoy a tu lado, en cualquier resultado. Vamos Galaxy, on top is where I gotta be. Chilling in the canopy, staging like a winery. Goals during rivalries, brew from the refinery. Only want the finer things, we letting you know. Lo que pasa en la galaxia, ready, let's start the show.
Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome back to another episode of La Cuna Galaxiana, a podcast always made with love for all you LA Galaxy fans, wherever you may be out there in the world, and we hope you're out there doing well. Today, coming off 2 positive results, the LA Galaxy travels north to the cold to face off against Minnesota United on Saturday, March 22nd, in a rematch of the Western Conference semifinal, and in an attempt to finally collect 3 points and a first MLS victory. The conditions are ripe for the Galaxy to get an away win over the Loons, as Minnesota has a depleted lineup thanks to international duty and will be missing key players of the starting 11. We'll take a look at how Minnesota might approach this game, if it takes on any added significance considering their last meeting, what the Galaxy needs to do to take advantage of their absences, and the best starting lineup that gives the Galaxy the chance to win this game on the road. Plus, the return of the unbreakable one, Joseph Paintsil, draws nearer, and it couldn't come at a better time for the Galaxy. All that and more coming up on today's episode. But before we go any further, let me introduce myself. I am one of your humble co-hosts, and you can find me at El Escudero de LA online, and you can find my written work at Extra Time Talk and the Sporting Tribune. And of course, my name is Rob Jalon. And then, of course, just alongside me, as usual, we have El Yerno Guapo y El Gitano Perdido, Anandita Kirana. And we have a match ahead of us, man, that is kind of interesting. What are you thinking?
Well, finally, we have a Freewood midweek, right, Rob? I feel like we've been doing these sort of reaction / preview pods for you guys because it's been a busy beginning start of the schedule, right? Especially with the cup and all of that madness. But of course, we've advanced to the next round, so that's kind of settled itself until when is the Tigres game, Rob? April 1st, I believe, is the first leg.
It is the first,
right? So midweek games are going to come. So I think, for the Galaxy, I think that means taking advantage of this time, right? I think it means for the players and the staff to actually train and actually build that chemistry, work on some things that maybe you haven't worked on, Rob, because we're not having to fly 7 hours and cross different time zones and all that stuff. So yes, we are away from home, but at least the players got to, have a week at their humble abodes and work on some stuff on the training pitch, because we're going to need all that training as much as possible, man, to turn the ship around. But another test, but I think another opportunity for this team to progress and grow in this, like I said, in this different process that they're in this season.
It's interesting you brought up training, Ananda, because Christian Ramirez, we spoke to him at media availability today, and he brought it up as well, that the fact that they didn't have a midweek game allowed them to have training, and that's where you really get the finer points of the system that these players, that these newer players that have come in are really going to understand. This tactical setup and system is by these training sessions, not having to learn it in a real game situation, but being able to walk through different situations and scenarios. So it's really good. I mean Christian Ramirez is on your same tip, man. But yeah, no, it was go for a couple weeks there, and we're back to one game a week, giving the Galaxy a little bit of time to breathe and giving us a little bit of time to breathe as well, because we were giving you guys an hour and a half pods there because we were doing previews and recaps and stuff like that. And yeah, so sorry for just rambling on, guys, but we'll attempt to not do that today. But anyway,
this one should be short and quick and sweet and to the point. And by the way, one and only Rocio in the chat says shout out to everyone that's at the Mexico Canada game for sure, guys. That's a whole afternoon out in SoFi. We'll get to that in a little bit and update you on the latest scores from that particular tournament.
Yeah, no, I definitely wanted to catch this one, and I just applied for that credential too late, man. So I didn't get the chance to get out there. But I know that for example, friend of the show and good homie Marvin G, he's over there. He's
Nice.
shooting this one, so we'll probably get to see some lovely photos from him. But yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, we just mentioned Marvin, and he's part of this beautiful community that we have. And thank you guys all for tuning in once again. Keep getting those subs in. Keep letting y'all peoples know about that sub button and about this humble little podcast. And then we also have them super chats open as well. You gotta go down to like a lower timbre when you say super chats. You gotta make right. But anyway, go ahead and be number 6, signifying the Galaxy's 6 trophies. But anyway, to recap, to put a bow on this long-winded intro, go ahead and check out Ananda and Profe Alex Reese's Dos Tácticos video that they dropped about the midfield. It seems like Greg is starting to find a midfield that is to his liking. Go ahead and get a better understanding of what he's looking for by checking out this video, guys. And now we have some shout outs and announcements. But Ananda, have you told people to sock you yet?
To stock you? Not yet, Papa, but I will get there. So let me just finish my little housekeeping for this first part of the podcast per the usual. So guys, you can always follow me, block me, or stalk me like Rob said.
There it is.
At Ananda Galaxiana. And of course, our handles are right there for everyone watching this on YouTube. And by the way, shout out to all you audio listeners. I do know that there is a fair percentage of you that do listen to this on audio on Spotify. We are on Spotify and Apple. If you do like sort of the audio and prefer that rather than see our beautiful faces, but that's okay. We won't take offense to it. It's all good.
I don't take offense to it at all. In fact, I bless that for you. Go ahead and do that.
That's why we give the options, right, guys? But yeah, so go ahead and do that. Rob already talked about subscribing to this humble little pod. Like I said, guys, we're trying to get to the 600 sub by the end of April, so that would help us out tremendously. And of course, hitting that like button always helps out tremendously as well. And of course, papá, como siempre, antes de olvidarme, buenos días, tardes o noches y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de La Cuna Galaxiana. Like I said, man, we're close to 200. 19 more episodes now officially. So, yeah, exactly. Hey, from the Lords.
Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it?
No, neither me nor you. So let's get into those shout outs.
Well, yeah, Ananda's right. 181 in, and we're still loving it. So, anyway, the shout outs and announcements is our opportunity to go ahead and give you guys, community notes, stuff that's happening in the community, but also a little bit of Galaxy history. And this man is entrenched in Galaxy history. Siggy Schmidt would have been 72 today. Of course, the Galaxy legend has passed, but he's responsible for a bunch of silverware and is a huge part of the team's history. He was the 1999 MLS Coach of the Year. He won the 2000 Champions Cup, the 2002 MLS Cup and Supporter Shield, and the 2001 US Open Cup. The MLS Coach of the Year award is named after this man. So just to give you an idea of his importance to the Galaxy and really American soccer as a whole. 2 stints with the team. I mean, he like I said, a legend. Forza and rest in peace, Siggy, and happy birthday, man. We also have another birthday out there. Former Galaxy defender and MLS Cup champion, the pride of Palmdale, Sean Franklin, and this guy's a real one. I've had the chance to meet him just at a couple of like jersey shops and stuff like that, and just super nice. Apart from being super talented, MLS Rookie of the Year in 2008. Played for your LA Galaxy 177 times in all competitions, 6 goals and 24 assists in all competitions. He won the MLS Cup in 2011 and 2012, the Supporter Shield in 2010 and 11, and was an MLS All-Star in 2011 and 2014. Happy birthday, Sean Franklin. I hope you are surrounded by friends and family and are enjoying life. And y'all can be enjoying life as well when you pick up Joseph Paintsil's new EP. He's dropping his first one, and it's called Emergency. So go ahead and support Joseph Paintsil when he drops this on the 4th of April. I know you guys were all spinning that Unbreakable and Blessings all the time. So I want to see you guys getting out there and supporting this record.
Wait, so Rob, we having a listening party pod then for the JP's new drop?
that would be pretty fun.
That'd be fire.
I really would enjoy that. Let's go ahead and make that happen. Whoever's down to in the chat, Cuneros, whoever's down to go ahead and make that happen. Let's go ahead and make it happen. No, all these songs are fire. I really enjoy them. So Joseph Paintsil's new EP, the 4th of April. Check it out. The Galaxy are also doing an equipment sale on 3/29 for the game against Orlando City. You'll get a lot of really cool stuff at this event. A lot of jerseys that haven't been worn, shorts, socks, warm-ups, hoodies, all kinds of really cool stuff. And all proceeds go to the LA Galaxy Foundation. If you're a season ticket member, you can get access to this at 5:30. If not, GA is at 6 p.m. Go ahead and check this one out, guys. We've let you guys know already, but we wanted to go ahead and make sure they got their due. Harbor Miller and Ruben Ramos have been called up to the U.S. men's youth national team. Harbor Miller, I believe, is sorry about that. Harbor Miller is confirmed. The U18s, and Ruben Ramos Jr. is the U20s. Of course, the Galaxy had 3 other academy players go ahead and get called up. Pepe Magana, Eric Preston, and Kike Martinez also got called up for the Galaxy. And of course, when we talk lineups, we'll talk a little bit about the importance of Harbor Miller and Ruben Ramos Jr. being called up. And to go ahead and finish up here, the official FIFA World Cup 26 Los Angeles poster has dropped. Thieb Delaporte Richard was the winner of a contest to design this poster, and this is the offering here. You have those purples and those pinks that are very prominent in stuff like the Ryzen kit, and of course Angel City, their jersey as well. So I like it. Any thoughts on this one, Aude?
No, it's just like a perfect portrayal of the city, very similar to Rising Kit, right? I mean, we do have some beautiful sunsets here, Rob. One of the most beautiful places that, even like Barcelona has some nice ones too if you're on the coast. But man, definitely a super nice poster, and yeah, definitely captures the essence of the cup, man. I just can't wait for it to be here. And that's just gonna be crazy. And we're only a year and change away, man. It's pretty insane.
Well, I'm really excited for it to be here as well, and I can't wait to see what the city is like come World Cup time. But since we're about to talk about the Concacaf Nations League semifinal, these matches were here in Los Angeles, the U.S. versus Panama and Mexico versus Canada, and there is already a big hullabaloo, Ananda, about the lack of attendance for the U.S. versus Panama. But of course, what people out there don't understand, if you don't live in L.A., is if this match is at 4 p.m.
People still working, dude.
People are still working.
Normal people like you and I. Oh, I don't know where GCam is today, but yeah, that's a shout for that's for both of us, man. That should be like a community one. But yeah, 4 o'clock, right? On a weekday. Like literally, I saw guys and gals on Twitter saying I had to take a half a day off or a whole day off for this. I mean, this is nuts, right? And then on top of that, the 405, 105, 91, however you get to that stadium, traffic on a Thursday or a Friday. Nah, G, come on. Like, you guys are tripping, right? And on top of that, it makes it worse because you're not doing it at a stadium like either the Diggs or BMO in a huge stadium like SoFi. So of course, like, the optics are going to be bad because that's a huge stadium, right, Rob? So yeah, man. I don't know.
Just the traffic alone is going to kill a lot of this. At least people showing up on time.
Yeah.
I mean, LA already has a bad rap of being late to stuff, but I mean, this is
Don't
legitimate.
even-
I mean, people are still at work, son.
I don't even want to know how much parking was as well at the event. So if everyone's complaining about Diggs parking, y'all don't even know, man. Like, that's SoFi parking. Eesh.
Yeah, that SoFi parking is steep.
Yeah.
And depending on whether you are a U.S. men's national team fan and you went to this event, not only did you have to pay that steep parking, but you had you had to watch the U.S. men's national team cop an L, 94th minute L to Panama. Cecilio Waterman takes a curling shot from the right side of the box, and it goes and celebrates, jumps up on the stage and on. I don't know if you saw the celebration, but
with Titi.
With Titi te preguntó. Oh man, he just ran up to Titi.
Eres mi ídolo.
Hugs Thierry Henry and starts
Crazy,
celebrating with them, and all the Panamanian players started doing the same. So the celebration was epic. The goal was really nice.
But the best part was, meanwhile, Moedu and Dempsey were like mad dogging him because they were so upset that goal went in. It was. If you guys didn't see, you guys got to watch the replay of that. It was pretty hysterical, in more ways than one.
DT Henry seemed pretty bemused by it all. He seemed like he's like, all right, this is okay. This is a fun time. But really, that's one of the criticisms, right, about the lack of fans or lack of attendance at this game, is that there was no kind of like support to go ahead and help the U.S. men's national team out. But really, from and I didn't watch the game, mind, but from everything I've read so far, is that they really didn't have that much of a game plan, didn't put that much together. So they crash out now, 1-0. They're eliminated. They will play. It looks like it's going to be Canada in the third place match, as Mexico will face Panama. Panama, of course, beating the U.S. 1-0, and Mexico now with a 2-0 lead at the time of speaking, in about the 91st minute there in the Nations League semifinal. So looking like Mexico versus Panama in that final. So good luck to those teams. And either way, it'll be a good soccer match to take in, right? And then we also have the magic of the cup, Ananda. The U.S. Open Cup was here and gone over the past couple of days in this week, and there was a couple of high-profile stories. Of course, last year we brought you the story of the Des Moines Menace. They had a couple of ex-MLS players within the ranks, and now they went full bore with MLS players or ex-MLS players and former Gs by fielding their current team, which beat Sporting Kansas City 2-1. You had players like Sasha Klestin, AJ De La Garza, XGs right there, Ozzy Alonso, Victor Loa, Justin Moram, Benfield Harbor, Dax McCarty, shout out Dax, and Bradley Wright Phillips. Klestin scored 2 goals in this one to lead the way, and Des Moines Menace goes on to the next round. So that's the magic of the cup. And I don't know if this is like, going to be the thing every year, if these lads are going to come out of retirement every year to join the Open Cup, but this is kind of fun, right?
Yep. That's what it's all about, man. It's super fun. It just makes a nice storyline, right? But we'll see how far they go, man.
Well, another story that hits close to home is the AV Alta won their first home match ever and this is a cup match as well. They won 3-1 over Ventura County Fusion. Jerry Desdunes scored the very first goal in AV Alta FC history, and then he added a second shortly thereafter. Sebastian Cruz scored the third in the 52nd minute to go ahead and put the punctuation mark on that 3-1 victory. They will now have their USL League One home debut on Saturday, April 5th versus Westchester SC. Ananda, you got a bet, man, that I will be there. This is I was born and bred out there in in Lancaster, but I spent a lot of my formative years as a youngster there in Lancaster. And who would have thunk that they would ever have a soccer team, much less a soccer team that's getting victories in the US Open Cup? So congratulations to AV Alta for getting their first win. XPH popping up. What up? Coming through with the super chat. He says, here to give a shout out to Rob and Ananda and show them some appreciation. We'll catch the recording. Buenas noches, Guneros. XPH,
buenas noches, man.
We appreciate it. Get some good rest. Enjoy your evening. Thank you so much, bro. So shout out to AV Alta and the AV for doing big things and getting that first win. And then shout out to VCFC for getting a huge win, 7-0 thumping of Laguna United.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it was, and this man Bibu went off. He had a hat trick, and in this one, the second goal, Ananda, was, I don't know if you saw this one, but it was like a flick over the head, and then just chests it down and volleys. It's class, man. But anyway, Bibu gets that hat trick along with Esenia, Buckner, and Luis Muller, and Laguna United scores an own goal to round out the 7-0, just a shellacking. So they move through to the next round. The magic of the cup is such that, it could be that we're seeing an AV Alta versus VCFC here pretty soon. Who knows? But where will my loyalties be for that one, right?
Yeah. Well, let's cross that bridge when we get there. Just like my loyalties right now in the next round of Champions League, Papa. Oh, that's gonna be dicey. But the good news is, like I told you last time, you're not gonna lose. You're gonna, either way, it's a win-win. That's the best place. That's the best place to be in. It's a win-win.
Yeah, I'm a United fan. I don't know what's up with the Champions League, So
well, you guys are in the other competition though, at least.
Yeah, no, that's not too bad. But it's not the Champions League, and everybody knows that, right? But
yeah,
tough times. Tough times for darn sure. Oh, Fergie, where are you? Where are you when we need you? But anyway, William Lamb says, update: Mexico is advancing to Nations League final after 2 massive goals from Raul Jimenez.
That boy's balling, man. He's been balling. Yeah, he's been balling for Fulham all season.
Yeah, and he was recalled to the Selección Mexicana after not being there for a while, and so good on him for taking that opportunity and coming up big for that coach, man. So anyway, we have a game to get into, right?
Yep. Yes, sir. Let's get into it.
Yeah. All right. So the LA Galaxy have this match against Minnesota United, but before we get into that, let's look at where the Galaxy are in the standings. After 4 matches, they hold a 0-3-1 record, 2 goals for and 8 goals against. They have 1 point, and it's 0.25 points per game at the moment, so not even a point per game. Hopefully that changes this weekend. -6 goal difference, and in 15th place, dead last, although they are tied with SKC and Houston for last place, if that is any consolation to Galaxy.
All right, now everyone golf clap to Rob for reminding us how crappy we are this season so far. So I'm gonna golf clap that. Thank you.
Cheers. Cheers. It was not something I took pleasure in doing, but something I must do.
Hey, that was us. That was us all 2023. So it's all good, Bubba. We got practice.
Yeah, no. So we got through it then. We'll get through it now, especially since it's early in the season. A little bit of more bad news, Ananda, before we move on to Minnesota. The Galaxy's 1 point over 4 games in 2025 equals their worst ever start to an MLS season, achieved in 2020. So we've already said it. Only one place to go from here, and hopefully that is up. So let's look at Minnesota, who has had a much better start to the season after 4 matches played, a 2-1-1 record, 5 goals for, 4 goals against, on 7 points, 1.75 points per game, and a +1 goal differential. That is good enough for 5th place in the Western Conference this early in the season. Their season so far was kind of a mixed bag. They played well in week 1 against LAFC. Unfortunately, they lose 1-0 away. 2 straight 1-0 wins follow after that, one at home over Montreal and one away versus San Jose. That trademark defense coming to the fore right there. And then that trademark defense let them down in their next match. They race out to a 3-0 lead on the road versus SKC, and then they cough up that 3-goal lead. All goals coming from SKC after the 67th minute. The XG, Dejan Joveljic, shout out Dejan, the Bishop. He told me one time that this is his favorite podcast. True story. I'm not making that up at all. For sure. No miento. Anyway, but no, he scores the tying goal there, and it's just weird seeing him wheel away and celebrate and not in Galaxy colors. But I'm glad he's doing well. It's like, fam, if you're not here, I'm so glad to see that you're scoring and you're happy and you're smiling.
And that was a crazy game too, man. I feel like Peter Vermees was like you said it last pod, man. He escapes like having been being on the chopping block every single season. I don't know how this man does it, right? He was like literally on the brink of probably another game, another 2 results away from being on the chopping block. Like, this guy's crazy. Anyways, I don't know how he does it.
He's gonna be around forever. Forever. But good on him. I mean, he got a result. He got a response from his team, and they get that 3-3, and he lives to fight another day. But
real quick, I got to ask Baba this question. So Baba said last year I was fishing Manhattan Beach and the whole Minnesota team pulled up. I asked them how many goals the G's will score on them. Was that when we put 6 past them? I hope it was.
That'd be
that must have made you feel real good, Papa.
Oh, that would have been crazy. Like, hey, how many goals you want the Galaxy to score on you guys? And then they hang 6 on them. That'd be crazy. That'd be some real tough stuff right there. But anyway, yeah, go ahead and let us know. But yeah, they I've had a pretty decent start to the season, and compared to the Galaxy anyway, who now, according to I know how much you love these, by the way, Ananda. According to the MLS Power Rankings, brought to you by MLS.com, the Galaxy are up 2 spots to 24th. Apparently, they decided a point was worth 2 spots. The Loons are down 1 spot to 9th, probably product of them coughing up that 3-goal lead. And that's where we stand, Ananda. Are you loving these rankings anymore?
No. You know what I do love, though? If you guys have a chance, go ahead and check out Jose and the Goals TV crew. They have these power ranking videos, but they do like the tiering system. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos, Rob, where they have like 5 tiers and they put all the teams or like players, depending on what the topic is. But their tiers aren't like 1 through 30 or rankings. It's like title contenders. They're really good. Let's talk about it or something like that. And then one's like hand over the panic button. Like those are their tiers. So that's cool. Like, that's fun, right? Like that's good for conversation. But come on, man, like 1 through 30, like really power rankings like this early in the season. It's 4-game sample size. Like, give it some time. Anyways, let's move on.
I really just like seeing Ananda bug out over the power rankings.
I mean, it's like great for you guys to write about and whatnot, but it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't really, because, well, just like the table, right? Like, things can move around, man. Like, would you have thought that San Diego and Vancouver would be top of the West right now? Like, it's those things, right? Like, things can flip on its head, and maybe that's the sort of nature of MLS season to season. But nah, man, still a long way to go. Yeah, let's move on. Come on.
All right, let's move on. But before we do, let's give a shout out to chat, who is lively at the moment, and we do appreciate it. What Big Arquitekto Verbal is in the chat, and he says,
Shout out,
"How
Big
do you
Arc.
guys like the new intro?" Man, every time I listen to the intro right before we come on Arquitekto, I'm just vibing out, really enjoying it. And thank you once
Yeah.
again, Arquitekto Verbal.
Fuiste
Y'all,
LA.
yeah, y'all, and y'all support that man. He's got a record coming out. You know, he's got that vinyl getting pressed. So go ahead and hit him up and find out how you can go ahead and get that vinyl as well. All right, Ananda. Well, let's get into this game proper here, and let's look at these lineups. Let's look at what we can learn and see what we learned from this press conference as well. Saturday's match marks the 18th meeting across all competitions between the Los Angeles Galaxy and Minnesota United FC, and the Galaxy lead the all-time series line 3-5. They hold a 7-3-5 record in league play against Minnesota, and in 2 regular season meetings during 2024, the Galaxy held an unbeaten record. They scored 4 goals and had 3 goals against. But in the last meeting between the teams, which was the MLS Cup playoffs, the semifinal of the Western Conference playoffs, to be exact, Joseph Painso and Gabriel Peck both recorded a brace in the 6-2 win over the Loons, and that got them into the conference final. I remember that, Ananda, for all we talked about that this team that was defensively solid. The Galaxy go ahead and blow this team out of the water offensively 6-2. But the last time they played in the regular season, Gabriel Peck again turned up with the brace in that 2-1 win. In 8 all-time visits to Allianz Field, the Galaxy hold a 3-2-3 record. And after winning consecutive matches against Minnesota, the Galaxy now have a chance to win 3 straight against them, which they have never done in their previous history against Minnesota. A little bit of team news for you guys. Of course, we have the long-term absence of Ricky Puig, the more short-term, long-term absence of Mauricio Cuevas, who has that hammy injury, Lucas Sanabria, who has the collarbone issue, and then, of course, we already talked about Ruben Ramos Jr. and Harbor Miller being away on international duty. Harbor Miller, Ananda, since we're speaking about that, he's a miss right now without Mauricio Cuevas. He has been given the Galaxy a viable option to go ahead and spell Mickey Yamane, or go ahead and, like Greg said, he might be able to use Mickey Yamane in a different way. They don't have that now. And even having Ruben Ramos Jr. as an offensive weapon at the end of games, or being able to give some hustle out there at the end of games, right? So this is kind of a miss right there in terms of, what Harbor Miller was being able to put together. But good on him for getting called up. But there is good news in regard to team news here, is that El Profe Alex Ruiz asked Greg Vanney today what the update was on players like Marco Royce and Joseph Painsil. And we'll lead with Marco Royce here, who Greg Vanney said was day-to-day. But the unbreakable one, Joseph Painsil, is close to being back. Greg Vanney says he's taken part in good chunks of training, and he will be involved in training next week and is expected to be back with the team next weekend. Hopefully we'll have him available again next weekend. And
that's good news, man. That's really good news.
It's wonderful news, and it comes just ahead of time for that Champions Cup tie against Tigres. And it's gonna give, we always talk about giving Greg options, right? And it's gonna give the team a slew of different options. Now you'll be able to do that Diego in the 10 that we've talked about so much that we haven't been able to see, because there's not been a viable wing option out there. So
not only an option too, Rob, but a dynamic option. I mean, we're talking about a guy, one of the fastest guys recorded in all of world football, right? With his speed and his sprint speed. And this is a guy that is going to stretch out defenses and going to keep defenses honest. Like, they can't bunker in so much, and they can't set up a mid to low block against the Galaxy, right? And this is a guy that you can put a ball in space and he will run after it. And when he's on form and on song, he's, a really good finisher as well, as we saw last year in the MLS Cup run. So not just gives Greg options, Rob, but gives Greg a absolutely lethal option that he hasn't had as a disposal. Again, we talk about DP utilization a lot. Josh harps on it. He has a whole chart dedicated to it. That is a huge factor, guys, in wins and losses in MLS. And so that's really good news. I think Galaxy fans should be really pleased about that. And like you said, and like Arquitekto said, we need him before Tigres for sure. Even a 80% Joseph Paintsill. We need that talent for sure.
You brought up Josh, aka the Podfather, and Darren's 21 says, Rob, I took the family out to see the Podfather at the OCME trains on Saturday, and he hooked it up with the front seat train ride. See, that's what I'm talking about. You're gonna have a good time when you go see the Podfather at the OCME. Go ahead and hook them up with your support. I'm not sure if they're still running the fundraiser, $40K for 40 years, but if they are, go ahead and support Josh and the OCME and keep those trains running and those good times coming, because look, living proof, Darren's 21 is living proof that they're out there having a good time. The Galaxy might be able to have a little bit of a fun time this weekend as well, because the Galaxy have a couple of bodies missing, but Minnesota has a ton of bodies missing. I mean, they have the injuries that are Joseph Rosales and Kip Keller. Kip Keller, really saw no playing time for Minnesota, but Joseph Rosales played 35 matches last year.
Big one.
Yeah, and he had 7 assists as well, so he contributes on the offensive end. But it's where they're on international duty is where they're getting killed, right? Because Michael Boxall is out, Carlos Harvey is out, Robin Ludd, Tani Oluwasi, Dane St. Clair, and Alejandro Brand. They're all on international duty, right? So they're missing 6 players there. I mean, at least Boxall, Harvey, Ludd, Tani, and Dane St. Clair are starters, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, oh man, you even put X's through him.
I pulled it up because this is like a good visualization, right, of what Rob's talking about, guys. I mean, they're going to have presumably 5 starters out from the last game, that 3-3 draw at SKC, right? So, I mean, this is I just put this as an overlay just to visualize what Rob's talking about. And I mean, and I know you guys asked Greg that question as well today in the presser in terms of, this is going to be an interesting game because Minnesota aren't going to have half of their starters. But as Greg said, and I agree with him, Ramsey's done a hell of a job in Minnesota. They have a clear identity, Rob, and it's really just plug and play. So the guys that'll come in, I'm sure will do just as good of a job because they understand the system and what Coach Ramsey wants, right?
I don't know. I think you have, a couple of people that you can plug and play, but then you are asking a lot of, for example, Morris Dugan's going to be the only player in their back line that's still going to be there. I mean, he's played every game so far this season, but he only has 4 MLS starts under his belt, so he's inexperienced, right? He's going to have 2 other center backs next to him that he doesn't know. We've seen how important the goalkeeper situation is, and we'll get to that here in a second. But Dane St. Clair isn't going to be there to marshal this defense either. So you're going to have 2 new center backs plus a goalkeeper, not an experienced goalkeeper there, not to marshal this back line. You're also going to have key contributors out. I see like players like Yeboah having to stand up for the absence of Tani, but anyway, we'll get there. But I really think it's going to be one of those things that we've seen with the Galaxy. They had new players come in and they had to figure out how to play together. Even if you know the system, right? Even if you've been there in training, it's not the same thing as being there in a game situation. So it's going to be a new lineup for Minnesota. So I'm predicting a little bit of I don't know if like that phrase that Greg liked to use at the beginning of or at the end of that San Diego match, they disconnected or disjointed. I don't know if it's going to be like that, but it's certainly going to be not as fluid and not as automatic as we've seen from Minnesota.
Well, I don't think they have to be as fluid because that's not how they play. I'll go back to that point in just a second, especially when you go over the stats. So I hear you, but I don't think I think you're maybe over indexing that a little bit. Like I said, they don't have to be a fluid team. It's their play style. Again, we'll get into it in a second.
All right. Well, we'll get back into that, but let's look at the Galaxy's lineup. And I know that you had a couple of things that you want to bring up here.
Yeah, well, we know that Harbor isn't going to play at right back. So presumably Mickey Yamane's back fit. Thank God, right? Because I don't know what we would have done without our 3 starting right backs, Rob. That would have been quite a mess. Put Cerrillo back there? No idea. But anyway, so Yamane will take place of Harbor's spot. But I don't know, man. I think this is where, like, so you want to start with the debates, right? Of sort of these players. If I can get that back up again. Nope.
Are we debating? Are some of these debates or?
Well, like, I don't know. I don't know. Well, let's put it this way. If you were Greg, I don't know what's going on here, guys. If you were Greg, McCarthy or Mitrovic?
Probably John McCarthy.
Yeah, I agree. But you know what? Do you think Greg is gonna throw us a curveball this weekend, or no chance? From you were there at the press conference. What do you think?
You know, the goalkeeper question did not come up today.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
And I don't know. It could very well be Mikovic again, but I don't know. I think you got to go with the guy who's been getting positive results. And I spoke about it a moment ago. The guy who's been kind of marshaling your back line. You've seen that McCarthy has been able to work well with Yoshida, and Zanka came in for the past 2 games and he's played well as well. Yeah, those are both experienced center backs that are gonna probably communicate really well with John McCarthy, leading to some stability there. You know, so
I agree.
Anyway, I'd go with that. I'd go with John McCarthy.
I agree. And going to Zanka as well, I think he's going to start. I think Greg's just looking for stability, right, Rob, in the position that the Galaxy are in. And arguably, you could say that a couple of those losses were just mistakes born out of inexperience, right? Whether that was Garces, whether that was Novak Mitrovic. So I think he is going to go with the same back line, the same experience sort of trio with the center back partnership in John McCarthy. And then you're going to add the experience of Mickey Yamane back there now too on the right-hand side, right? And I think Julian Aude is going to keep his spot on the left. I think he's been really good, man. Tough for John Nelson because John Nelson we always call him the Rock, right? Shout out Nag Boys, call him John the Rock Nelson because he was an absolute rock back there. But Julian Aude just gives us a little something extra that we hadn't had before. And I think as this team without Equipu just struggling to progress the ball a little bit, especially out of what Greg likes to call like the first couple of zones, right? Into that midfield. I think Julian Aude is really good at that. He's a good dribbler. He likes to sort of bomb up and down that left-hand side. So it could be a debate, but I think Greg's just going to go for stability. And man, Greg's been super direct recently, right? In his quotes. Like usually Greg is that type of coach that'll kind of like give a very diplomatic, calculated, I always call him calculated answers, but dude, he's been calling some guys out lately. And so I don't think he's at all too happy with how the season's gone so far.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, he's always been very transparent. He's always
for sure.
He's always told us exactly what it is and what it's not. But there's been a focus this year a little bit more on individual performance rather than last year. The message was more about the collective. But there's been moments where certain players have not played to standard, and he's
called them out,
and he's trying to get them to wake up on it, right? So I would rather be early now in the season than later. You know, take care of it now, and then it doesn't happen later in the season. Yeah. But since we're looking at the
No, real quick. So now going to the next line, Arquitekto. I'm going to pull up a comment here from Arquitekto. Can Miller play CM? Lepley, Miller, and Cerrillo sounds awesome on paper. Well, of course, Harbor Miller is not available for this game. But Rob, what do you
He's
what do you
out.
do? What do you do in that midfield? Do you keep that trio of Parenthe, Cerrillo, and Lepley, who to me grew into that Portland game, and I think gave us a lot of really interesting looks. I think, especially with getting into the final third and progressing the ball through the midfield. What do you think, man?
I think you got to go again. I think you got to ride it again, man, because they got you that win. They got you a result in Portland. And so if you give it more time to blossom, it's going to get even better. I think you got to give it at least another game to really see what's there. Of course, Cerrillo's been that anchor, that six in this lineup for since last season. But once Greg has his full complement back, will Parenthe and Lepley keep their places? That's kind of what remains to be seen. But I would, if it were me, again, you're asking me like, what would I do if I was Greg? I'd go with the same lineup. It's been energetic. It's been tidy through Parenthe. He's been progressive. He's known how to play off of Edwin Cerrillo really well. Tucker's been very, very energetic. I mean, he, like I said, in that Ediano game, he was a pest on Aguilar. He didn't let him get anything going, and he doesn't give up on balls that you're thinking, okay, that might be gone, or I mean, the hustle is incredible. So anyway, I like the hunger, and that's why I would go with it again. I mean, these players are, we've spoken about it before. They're taking their opportunity in their moment, and so as they're hungry, let them eat. Let those young bulls run, right?
And they just give us that bite, especially against a Minnesota team that's going to be physical with us, Rob. They have a lot of athletes, a lot of strong athletes and powerful runners on their team. We're going to need that extra bite, right? So although they are smaller in stature, talking about Lepley and Parenthe, they do have a lot of bite around them, and they are very mobile as midfielders, and they offer a lot offensively going the other way as well. So I agree with that. So, but to that point, in terms of Minnesota being athletic and they have a lot of powerful runners, especially on the counter, this is where I go to the attack now. And for me, like I said, it's either Diego or Marco Royce. Now, the fact that we heard today in the presser that Marco is questionable, I think that leans towards Diego again. But man, Diego's been logging in a lot of minutes, so I'm not sure if he can play that full 90. Especially, I think Minnesota has an artificial turf as well. I mean, it's not as bad as Vancouver's, but it is like a artificial playing surface. I think he's probably going to play. I don't think he's going to play the full 90. Maybe we'll see Marco come on in the last 20. And then, bro, start Ramirez up there. I mean, he's on a goal streak right now. I think we got to keep the hot hand going. And I've always thought that Berry is better off the bench anyways. So make it 3-3, man. We need a confident striker, especially this early in the season, right?
At what point do you hand Nascimento a chance to make a difference?
I think he still needs some time. I think his betting in process, or that delta like of getting into the team and being comfortable, because you got to remember he's a young kid. He's moving in from another country. I'm assuming that his English has not gone up to speed yet. So there's a lot of hurdles and obstacles for him to overcome, Rob. So I think Greg's probably going to be doing the right thing and betting him in slowly. I think in the presser today, Greg talked about, he saw some good and bad things from Nascimento. So he's probably going to be that guy when you need a spark plug last 20 minutes of the game, right? You need an extra goal. That's when you bring Nascimento in. And we saw that in the last game. Greg used him sort of as a second striker. We almost kind of played a 4-4-2 at the last when he came in, Rob. So that was kind of interesting, bouncing off of Ramirez.
That's a dirty formation to Greg. Okay, don't
well, whatever gets you goals and game tying goals, who cares what the formation is, right? It's all about the dub. So yeah. But I think to answer your question, I think Nascimento not ready for the start yet. I think you got to start either Ramirez or Berry. I think in this case, Ramirez, in my opinion, just to keep that goal streak going, man. We need a confident Christian Ramirez, something that we didn't see earlier in the season.
I would actually like to see Miguel Berry back there. The game plan has worked for the past 2 matches. Miguel comes on as a starter, and he kind of just works his butt off and gets that defense tired, and then Christian Ramirez comes on and scores the sub goal, right? But again, I mean, if it's not broke in this guy, I knew the result. I would probably keep the same starting 11 personally, except for Mickey Yamane, who comes back in through injury. But that's where I'm going to push back, and it'll be interesting to see how Greg actually does it. We'll go ahead and bring receipts on each other on the next one, and see what Greg ended up doing. But,
just all that bickering just for Gaston Bergman to start. Hey, got to bring up that joke.
Oh man, if we only lived in a world where he was here and he could start, right? But anyway, you have some stats here that might give a little bit more context to which one of these teams can win the day.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm bringing this back, guys. So you remember my lovely little XG charts and all that. But I think it's early in the season, and usually I pull this up when we have a fair enough sample size. But I think when you look at the stats, Rob, I think it's going to paint a picture of the style of, or the styles that these two teams are. And I think if you guys remember, the preview that we did coming into the Minnesota match last year in the playoffs, it's going to follow a similar rhythm. The only thing is Minnesota has a little bit more continuity from last year's team versus the Galaxy. This is basically a new team, and we've heard Zanka say it multiple times on post-match press conference. This is a new team, right? And the players are still learning how to play with each other. But Rob, this is a clash of styles, man. What's interesting is Minnesota is a team that is super, super comfortable without the ball. Right? They don't need possession. Look at that, Rob. Average possession, they average 32%, which is dead last in the league. But with that 32% possession, they hit you on the break, and they create an XG, which is eighth best in the league at 6.8. And they've created 11 big chances, which is, the top half of the league. So they're a team, and we knew this, even this is a hallmark of Eric Ramsey's team, which is, having the other team, being comfortable with having the other team have the ball, possess the ball, but then get that tackle or get that turnover and hit you on the break with fast, speedy wingers and athletes, right? Like your Hassani Dotsons, like your Kelvin Yaboas and the like. So that's how they play. And so we're going to go back to our favorite phrase, the burden of possession, a little bit later. If you look at the Galaxy in these stats, so Galaxy, again, we're a team that likes to possess the balls. It's going to be the battle of attrition here, right? Are the Galaxy going to do enough with it on possession? But then when Minnesota hits us on the counter, do we have a good enough transition defense, which is historically not been great, right? I would say. And so that's going to be an interesting thing to watch. Again, from an XG and big chances perspective, we haven't created a lot this year towards the bottom 5 teams in the league. The other thing, Rob, is defensively. Like, Minnesota is a good defensive team. They've only conceded 3.2 XG. That's third best in the league. I know it says 28th there, but of course, if you're looking at the XG conceded, it's the opposite, right? So the less you concede, the better. So they are third best in the league. And they're a feisty, scrappy team, man. They're second in the league right now in successful tackles per match at 13.3. They are first in the league at 41.5 clearances per match. So, Rob, as Greg said, even in the presser, and I have a clip here that's gonna sort of show, like, it was Greg's actually comments to you. Your question was more so around this idea of, is this going to be a revenge game, sort of for Minnesota, especially for last year? But he kind of laid out
starting stuff, man.
But he kind of laid out to what we're going to expect from Minnesota, and a lot of it has to go back to what we saw there in the stats, right? We're going to expect a very physical, chippy game, a team that is comfortable without the ball. But don't hear from me. Hear from your head coach, Greg Vanney. If I can play it up. Oh, that worked really well.
Hi, I'm Greg. Oh, there he is.
Let's see. Oh, video is not playing right now. Well, that worked really well. Let's see. I might be able to pull it up later. I think our video player got stuck there. But anyways, Yeah, no, all that stuff that I was talking about with Minnesota not being comfortable with the ball and hitting us on the counter, that's going to be the name of the game. So is our transition defense going to hold up? But the burden of possession, Rob, are you going to do enough with it? We'll see.
Yeah, the Galaxy have had a lot of possession in some of these matches this year, but haven't really taken their chances after creating a couple of chances. And the this Minnesota team is tailor made to, like Ananda said, hit on the break, and when they have their opportunities, they take them, as evidenced by their last match where they scored 3 goals. The danger man here for Minnesota, Hassani Dotson is always a menace, and Calvin Yeboah is one as well. 2 goals, created 2 chances, and he has the most shots on target per match for Bongo, man. 1 assist, always a threat, as one of the wing backs there. But really, this is a match that Ananda, again, we kind of touched on it a little bit. Like, the Galaxy should be winning this match, right? I mean, like, if there's any time to strike against this Minnesota team, right? It's right now. They have like 8 players out through injury and international duty. I mean, they can't get got at, right?
Well, yes, on paper, but this goes back to the earlier point around the Minnesota team having a clear identity and not needing possession, not needing to be, I think you used the word fluid, right? So if you're a team like Greg Vanney's team, build up possession, calculated, trying to pass through teams like incisively and getting that final ball in the box. Yeah, if you're going to miss that many players, like we're seeing right now, the offense isn't going to be as fluid, right? But if you're a team like Minnesota, Rob, where all you need is to get a tackle and then you spring guys like Calvin Yeboah, who is going to be able to play on this game, right? I mean, you just need to hit the right pass over the top or through the lines and you're in. So that's what I'm saying with, I think their margin for error is larger because they don't need to possess. They're comfortable without the ball, man. And so I think so that's what I mean with a plug and play thing. Doesn't matter who's in there. They have a clear style of play that isn't surgical, isn't precise, isn't incisive like Greg Vanney ball, right? It's hitting teams on the counter, and that has a high success rate when you have athletes like Calvin Yeboah and Dotson on the pitch, and Sang Bin off the bench.
Alrighty, well, let's get into the nitty gritty here. Let's get into receipts time. So, for the Galaxy to win this match, they have to. And chat, go ahead and shout it out at us too. What do you think it is for the Galaxy to win this match? They have to ... We've talked about a couple different things that the Galaxy has to do today. So, Ananda, since I went first last time, go ahead and hit it.
Cool. That means you're doing predictions first. This is lovely. All right. So for the Galaxy to win, I'm going to go back to this possession thing, Rob. But for the Galaxy to win, they need for possession to not be a burden, but to be a benefit, right? Again, we know that we just talked about it this whole pod. Like, Minnesota likes to hit on the counter, so we need to make our possessions count. When we're in possession, we need to not give sloppy turnovers away in dangerous parts of the pitch, right? Especially in our own half. Like, we've got to be really careful. One of the things that was in that clip that we were going to play, but unfortunately it got stuck, was Greg talked about that we're going to expect a high pressing situation. We're going to expect man-to-man pressure off of goal kicks, right? And that breeds mistakes. That can breed some mistakes and some uncertainty out of the back. So again, that goes a little bit to that whole Mitrovic-McCarthy discussion, right? But we have to have our possessions count. We need shots on goal with that possession. We need to make an unsettle. You talked about them missing 2 out of their 3 center backs in the back line. We need to unsettle them earlier, right? And we need to unsettle them as the game progresses with that possession. But if the possession becomes a burden, like we've talked about, this is going to be a dicey game, and it's going to make things really, really difficult for this LA Galaxy team to win, especially away from home at Allianz Field.
Adam, thank you so much for the super chat popping in. Says, hey guys, the referee will be Chris Penso and VAR will be Kevin Sub. Valiendo. No, just playing. And any idea who will be the starting goalkeeper on Saturday? Ananda asked me earlier who I thought it'd be. If he said if you were Greg Vanny, who would you pick? And I would probably pick John McCarthy to go, even though it pains me because I do think Mikovic is a good keeper, but you got to go with John McCarthy. Ananda, you picked the same thing. Go ahead and tell him.
Yeah, I said John McCarthy. So
don't elaborate too much. All right, okay.
I said John McCarthy. I mean, I've said it multiple times. It's pretty clear. Like it's the experience. It's the lack of mistakes. The only flip side to that I'll argue for, and this will be again, this will be like one of those storylines that'll keep running through the season, Rob, is Mitrovic is a young goalkeeper, and young goalkeepers need confidence. So what does that say to Mitrovic now? If you're going to start John McCarthy, what's 3 straight games on the trot in all comps, right? After he had 3 blunders. So
I didn't say I didn't feel bad.
That's a man management thing. That's going to be really interesting. So then what do? Do you sell him in the summer at that point? Like if his confidence is shot. So those are like, if I'm putting myself in Greg's shoes, that's the other side of the coin. That's a man management part. That's like, that's a skill that managers need to have. And so that's going to be a interesting one to see how Greg manages that situation from an emotional and mental state. Our mental part.
Well, no, it has to be one of those things where like we always talk about this concept of competition, right? These players are there to compete with each other and push each other, right? And really that means whoever is hotter at the moment. If John McCarthy goes on a string of 4 or 5 games and he's killing it, like keep playing that keeper. But there was moments last season where John McCarthy made a blunder or two as well. And that's the moment where you can bring Mikovic back and say, okay, well, maybe, you've had a run of games. Maybe that mental fatigue is getting you. Maybe, the travel, this and that. And you give your other goalkeeper a chance to show what he can do. But we always talk about this idea of, how in defending the badge, they have to take it off of him. Or I mean, at this point, I think Mikovic has to take it off of John McCarthy, and John McCarthy hasn't let him do it. I mean, he's come back against Herediano on both legs and played well against Portland. So I don't think you can go away from that. I really don't.
Yeah.
But then again, Greg likes to throw his curveballs.
Yeah. What about you, Bubba? What do they need to do to win?
Well, let's read what the one and only has to say about what they need to do. They need to bring the chemistry, the puzzle, the pieces of the puzzle need to start to fit. Yeah, I'm gonna kind of. I think I did this last week too, where the one and only had a really good point, and I dug it, and I'm gonna kind of piggyback off her point again, where the chemistry is starting to develop, especially when you have this midfield playing with each other, and they've played with each other before at VCFC, and they know the system. They've played for in the depths of this team already. That understanding is going to be pivotal. Those connections, those combinations that Greg's talking about are the difference between a pass getting through and not getting through, and that creating a chance. So I really think it's going to be that chemistry, that understanding between these players, and that's exactly why I would want to go with somebody like Miguel Berry over Christian Ramirez, who you said is the hot hand right now. But Miguel Berry already knows kind of like the intricacies, if you will, and has been playing well. And like I said, has been getting after those defenses early, and then Christian Ramirez has been scoring those sub goals. So anyway, that's all that to say is they need to be on the same wavelength. How about that?
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to try to play this clip again, just to sum up this segment before we go to our prediction time, which you are going first. Let's not make him forget, chat. So,
chat, y'all saw me go first last time. So
no, you didn't. All right. Anyway, so again, this is like I said, a summation of what Greg looks to expect from this game. Hopefully, this works.
There we go. Oh,
Oh, that's strike. We're done. Videos are not working today. Let's get to the betting odds. Let's get to the betting odds by Dr. Aquino.
Dr. Aquino's betting odds brought to you by Dr. Aquino.
Yeah. Odds right now, Minnesota at a -110, 52% win probability. Of course, they're the home team. Galaxy plus 260 at 28%. So not too shabby, even from the payout standpoint. Again, we're not your financial advisors, but and I believe the draw is at plus 275, which is also pretty decent odds there as well. 20% is not bad for the road team, Rob. I don't know what the bookies are thinking of, because the Galaxy have been god awful this year, at least in the league so far, right? But yeah, again, predictions. You're going first. Chat should go first, really, but
I'll
Chat, go
tell
ahead
you.
and put your
I'll tell you what they're thinking. That Minnesota has a ton of players out, and that's definitely going to make a difference. So for me, since I'm going first unfairly, I might add, because I went first for the other one. Anyway, I will go first. No, I'm thinking that that's going to be too much of an issue for Minnesota to get over, and I think the Galaxy get a result. I'm calling a tie, 1-1 or a 2-2. They haven't been creating enough chances to go and really do what they did against Minnesota last year again. So that's why I'm saying that it's going to be a tie.
Yeah, I think that's what my head pick would be. Would probably be like a 2-2, something like that. Yeah, it's one of those things though, where like I feel like the start of the game and the beginning, like I would say the first half is going to be interesting, because like I said earlier, can we get to a point where we unsettle Minnesota enough? Can we be good enough on transition defense? Can we, like I said, can we have our possession be a benefit, not a burden, right? And I think an early goal would make, for the Galaxy, would make this game really interesting, Rob. Like I think an early goal, I would like, I think the odds would shift at that point, and I think we'd be in a good position to win. But if we don't get that early goal, if we get the goal like we did in Portland, I think 1-1 is probably your best bet, right? So look, but let's take a step back for a second, and I think we'd both agree and say that we need a result, right? Whether it's a point or 3 points, I think we just need to keep that momentum going for this early part in the season. Again, we just need to stay afloat, man. We can't
No losses.
We can't be out of the playoff race, like, you know, in June or July or whatever, and look at the schedule and be like, oh my God, like, and look at how many points we have when we're on the table. We're like, we have so much work to do in August, September, and October, right? So I just think we need a point for the morale of this team, for the confidence of this team. I'd like to see a better performance. I'd like to see more chances created, like you said. I'd like to see us finish more of those chances. But again, that's the key, right? But also, like, you were right, because we're not creating enough major, like, big chances other than the 4-1 against Herediano. That was the only outlier in what we've seen in the data set, right? So we need a result. That's for damn sure.
Yep. So that's where we're at. I am calling a tie. Ananda is calling a result.
I'm calling a tie. That's my head pick. Yeah, it's a tie.
Gotcha. Okay, so we're both calling ties. Hopefully we're wrong and the Galaxy get those 3 points in that first win of the season. But no matter what happens, we'll be back with you on Monday, March 24th, where we'll bring you our Galaxy versus Minnesota reaction pod. And then a week from today, on Thursday, March 27th, we'll bring you our Galaxy versus Orlando City preview pod for that match happening on Saturday, March 29th. Before we get out of here, Anandita Kirana, do you have anything else to add?
Nope. I think there's only one thing left to say, Rob.
Dale, entonces vámonos. Like Ananda says, one thing left to say. LA strong, vamos campeones, and G's up. Tú y yo chat, gracias.